What's up, everybody? How's it going? JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance Community on Reddit, and thanks again to the EV Mavericks for hosting yet again this happy hour for this day, October 11th, 2024. Give us a thumbs and smash the bell if you haven't already done that before. The Weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the Ethfinance community on Reddit. And this is a read-along reaction series. So if you want to read along, head on over to dailydoots.com. Designed and produced by our very own Hanny Abu. Big thanks to Tricky Troll for capturing and curating each day's Doots, and the A word for curating this beloved weekly list. And check this out. So Tricky Troll has actually gone camping for about 8 days. So Equal Jellyfish and the A word are going to take over on daily Doots challenges, and the A word is going to keep doing that weekly list for us, at least for this week and possibly next week, helping out on those daily Doots. So if you see the A word and Equal Jellyfish at the top of the daily, give them a big thumbs up and a pat on the back. They got big shoes to fill. We have crossed over 900 dailies in a row. It's amazing to me. The Tricky Troll has helped keep this going for over 900 dailies. Amazing. Great job. If you got a little cell phone action in your pocket, you want to subscribe to us on Apple and iTunes, just search Ethfinance EV Mavericks. We're also out there on Libsyn, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. If you're watching my second window, my stream on Discord, make sure you mute that window to cut down on any echoes. And as always, if you know somebody, anybody who wants a piece of this action, send them my way. Well, guess who's coming on November 1st, ladies and gentlemen? November 1st, we have Paul Brody coming back to the show. One of our very good friends of Ethfinance, Paul Brody, the blockchain leader. I'm sorry, he would correct me. Global blockchain leader of EY. So that'll be November 1st. And we've actually got a few other guests lined up down the pipe. We get those firmed up, we will be sure to let you know about who they are and where they're from. I think we're going to be featuring quite a few people from the Octant fundraising round that recently wrapped up. So we're excited to get some of those folks in. Welcome in on Discord. If you're just joining us on Discord, we got Austin ST696 and Jomo joining us on Discord. If you want to jump onto Discord and join the conversation, love to have you. Come on in. Let's go right into our morning roundup. We have Hey Chibi chiming in Ethereum. Frank the Tank has us at a fat 2,400, and Tim Buck Knight at 3,972 on the ratio. I feel like that's up a little bit, but not much, not enough anyway. So the weekly haiku courtesy of JS Tears. The SEC turns cold. Another story gets told. The issuer won't fold. How does he do it, JS Tears? How does he do it? Amazing with the weekly haiku. And our ship post of the week, because we always like to save the best for first. Itzer Adastra chimes in. You know what the ETH graph reminds me of? Definitely not a crab. A crab market would be a stable, unmoving price, progressing the graph in a flat line to the left, maybe with equal up and down slow waves. But the current action is much more annoying. Have you noticed snails exploring their surroundings using their high tentacles? They slowly extend them, touch something, and then rapidly retract them back. That's what ETH does. Every time it slowly probes a few USD above its price, it rapidly withdraws back in fear, as if hit by electricity. Slow candle up, instant withdrawal back down. Especially funny in the 1 minute chart, but it can be seen on all time frames. So I officially propose that we are in a snail market. I might need sleep. The Itzer Adastra, fantastic ship post of the week. Itzer Adastra is a duder number 4. And you know what? I got to go over our rich list. We have 1,090 people that have been duded at least one time on the Daily Doots. And let's get to the top here. Top 10, Hanny Abu rounding out the top 10 at 92. Ethical Trade at 96. 696 ETH at 100. Reaching that century mark, my man. Cryptocurrency at 101. Set one less at 103. Look at that, man. 100, 101, 103. These guys are in a dog race here. Harog is getting up on there at 112. Tricky Troll at 123. Benito 2030 at 144. That's a gross. And Logri the Bard at 150. Superfizz at the very top at 218. Great job to all those people that are on the list to begin with, especially our top 10. You know, it's crazy the number of people that have like over 30 appearances on the Daily Doots. What does that tell you? I mean, really, honestly, look at the number of people that have had, let's say, at least 10 times. That's 154 people have been on the list at least 10 times. That tells you something about this community. Fantastic. All right. I love that word, fantastic. It just feels good. Okay, here we go. We're going down the list. We don't have a guest today. This is going to be a pretty short show, but it's going to be a lot of dynamite. Get your seatbelts ready at NASCAR time. Here we go. Harog brings Vitalik's talk from Token 2049. For those who missed it or could not understand anything in the shaky video, why is this always the case with videos of Vitalik? It's never changing, I swear. Okay, anything in the shaky videos that were available until just a few days ago, Vitalik's famous talk from Token 2049 is now on the YouTubes. He is asking himself if we are still early and what he is excited about in the next 10 years. He thinks we're not early anymore, but we are still early for crypto being useful. That's emphasis. He ties this into his experiences paying with crypto for daily necessities and why it failed originally. Hint, it was the fees and the overall user experience. And the last years to user experience improved massively due to EIP 1559 and the switch to proof of stake. The recent Denkun upgrade introduced blobs, which dropped the fees to close to zero. Before all these improvements, the underlying technology was limiting what could be built on top and how successful it could become. These limitations are not the bottleneck anymore, but we still need a reason to actually use the applications built on crypto. He argues that the resilience and robustness of the underlying blockchain is what matters the most, but the UX on top needs to be good as well. Preserving the underlying advantages of the Ethereum network and being able to improve the user experience for mainstream users should be the key goal. He sees a few places where there will be the most improvements in the next years. Wallet trade-offs and how multi-sigs, guardians, and the combination with ZK proofs have or will improve that space. This allows the Web 2 user experience with Web 3 robustness. Social media, where you can actually own the content or the account, such as Warpcast. Payment wallets, which are getting close to a Venmo experience. Yes. Privacy pools, where you can prove not to be the bad guy without revealing who you are. This exists in an early version, at least. ZK proofs in social media will make it possible to prove that you fulfill a certain criteria without revealing who you are. And layer 1 improvements, single slot finality, vertical tree, statelessness, handling MEV on the protocol level, ZK snarkifying the layer 1 and light clients. These improvements will allow Ethereum to thread the needle and become mainstream user-friendly while staying true to the underlying cypherpunk values which built the network. But enough beating around the bush. The only reason this talk has become famous is Vitalik's singing session in the middle of it. Here they are together with the original songs, especially the second song. Took me some time to find the source, and those links are available at dailydoots.com. I am happy that Vitalik did not become a singer, but I'm even more happy he is as quirky as he is. Yes, Harog, sing it, baby. You are correct. User Fimar Howe is humbly begging for scraps of your attention. Fimar Howe is a duder number 75. I'm confident the scroll airdrop snapshot was already taken. Why, you ask? Simple. For the past few months, I've been toying with a small DApp idea, a collaborative story where everyone writes together and mints NFTs by writing. I'm enthralled by the concept, and I figure I could lure some of you fine gentlemen into my lair by alluding, not so subtly, that any sort of activity on Scroll could help qualify for a big fat airdrop. But then something terrible happened. You see, I started using AI, Claude Sonnet 3.5 specifically. As someone who's not a coder, the whole process of building anything with code usually goes like this. Have a good time writing actual code for a couple of hours. Then hit a roadblock on something arcane related to programming. Then be forced into the most tedious web search adventure for a solution to this problem. Amen. And those roadblocks happen dozens of times. None of that anymore. Claude is always there to give an answer, always available to suggest something. We talk it out and eventually figure out the thing. The good lad never gets tired of my walls of text. This is the terrible part. I started having fun. And when you enjoy the process, you start spending more time refining everything to your liking. It went on. And what do you know? Now we're in October. Rumors abound. TGE is soon. Scroll 1 year. What is is it TGE? What is that? If you're on Discord, you can unmute or just send it in the chat. What does TGE stand for in this? Is it token gated enrollment? I don't know. Scroll 1 year anniversary is coming up mid-October. Hence everywhere the eye can see. Instead of coming to you all with a cheeky smile and an airdrop nudge, nudge, wink, wink, I am here, hat in hand, on my knees, humbly begging for scraps of your attention. Please, kind sir, may you look at my DApp. Okay, so Yield Daddy says Token Generation Event. That's what TGE stands for. Thank you. I really appreciate your input. As we all know, it takes a village to raise an idiot. All right, going on. Please, kind sir, will you take a look at my DApp? It's a good DApp, I promise. Maybe. I wrote some about what it actually is here, and there's a blog link. In all seriousness, I find it incredible just how far you can get with AI. I didn't write any code here. All it takes is a bit of persistence. We're moving fast into a world where everyone can make their own toys exactly to their liking by chatting up a virtual assistant. If you have ideas you want to see happen and time to spend, there's very little to stop you. So, will you help Fimar How? Check it out at dailydoots.com. Help him out on Scroll. Beautiful. Harog. Holy crap, this guy's got a double weekly boom. 100. Look at that guy. Harog has made it on the weekly list twice. Okay, Harog shares his take on Lido's community staking module. Financially, for node operators, it is a great product. Lido tries everything to get people on board. If you're on their early adoption whitelist, they even allow for a lower bond for the first share, increasing the rewards even further. As far as I see, pretty much anyone running a node anywhere is on the list, 20 to 30,000 addresses. They are also present pretty much everywhere to advertise the start of the CSM. As far as I see, they limit the shares to 12 for each node operator, which means even under the most optimistic assumptions, the amount of ETH the solo node operators will handle will be at most in the single-digit percentage of the whole validators Lido has. It is a good development, but will not change the validator distribution setup within Lido to any meaningful degree. On a more personal opinion, I try to stay as far away as possible from Lido, as they have a massive war chest and a lot of influential people on their payroll. They can undercut the competition for very long to make sure no other staking solution survives. Their initial plan of cross-subsidizing the CSM with revenue from their more centralized staking business was a pretty direct attack on the current solo staker landscape. Not sure if they changed this, though. Their history of gaslighting the solo staker community and claiming them to be irrational actors massively soured my opinion. The way they plan to centralize the Ethereum staking under their umbrella and even calling it decentralized does not help making me more sympathetic towards them. In the long run, I think they are a massive problem for the Ethereum network, and I really hope we can keep them from taking over the staking layer. The sad reality is that there is very little decentralized competition. Rocket Pool still is the only properly decentralized solution. They are much smaller. They are in the middle of a year-long change in how much bond their stakers need. In a few weeks, we might see the first Rocket Pool mini pool without the need to stake RPL. They just have their first one running on a testnet as of 3 hours ago. I have great hopes that this will be competitive in the long run, but as always with Rocket Pool, it will take some time. An interesting project is NodeSet, which is planned to launch soon. Will be interesting to watch. It is built atop Rocket Pool and adds a very soft KYC layer for node operators. We just interviewed them a couple of weeks ago. Good team. A lot of fun on that podcast. I think they had 3 team members with us. It was a very sweet chat. I want to have them back. The bonds are lower than with Rocket Pool, and there's no RPL needed. Another project called Diva, which was all the rage last summer. We also have, on a side note, we have also interviewed Diva, I believe. Still does not have a fully functioning prototype. Their testnet stopped accepting new node operators after they found some bugs. We will see what will come out of it in the months to come. Puffer might be interesting as well, but to be honest, I have no idea about the details. Well, we interviewed Puffer also. I think we touched all of these groups. That's pretty cool. So Puffer, Diva, Rocket Pool, NodeSet, and then Lido. Harag, good stuff. I'm glad you shared your thoughts on that. Hopefully others will learn from it and give the community some more to talk about. All right. It says user egg, I don't know what this is, LLL7227 discusses Ethereum's normie narratives. We'll just say egg. Egg is a duder number 34. Boom. My normie-friendly TikTok influencer account is getting lots of traction recently. Listen to that sentence again. My normie-friendly TikTok influencer account is getting lots of traction recently. I wish you would share it. That would be fun to see what they do as a TikTok influencer. Normie-friendly, I might add. Okay, so as my subscribers count breached 2,200, I'm catering to 8 million French Canadians. So it's a decent following in my niche market. It's an education, non-monetized, no shilling allowed account. Okay, good. I have learned a few lessons since January when I launched it. First, simplicity is king. If your narrative can't be explained in a single, easy-to-understand sentence, it won't catch up. This is why I'm skeptical of things like triple point assets and, quote, programmable money and, quote, digital bond. What is sticking is this, quote, Ethereum is a decentralized app store that anybody can use or deploy on, and you need to pay in Ether to use it. Somebody get this guy a bumper sticker factory. That's it. That is very well said. Ethereum is a decentralized app store that anybody can use or deploy on, and you need to pay in Ether to use it and deploy on it. It's brilliant. Maybe it's not technically accurate, but this is what people understand. The second thing he's learned about being a TikTok influencer. Most people see crypto as a way to get rich, not as a technology. Ain't that the truth? This explains the bottoming ratio. In their eyes, Ethereum is the second cryptocurrency. People like to bet on champions, not runner-ups. The flippening is a nice meme, and I would love to see it happen, but realistically, it won't ever happen. Oh, I don't agree with that at all, but that's just me. So far, you're 100% right. And the third point, a lot of people are still interested in this space. It will take some time, probably a few years, but we will have another mania phase. Yes. And they concludes, that being said, I'm trying very hard to teach people about the non-speculative parts of crypto, namely decentralized social media and digital artworks. They don't care, but I'm still trying. Well, good on you. Appreciate you. I'm glad you made it to the weekly list. Egg7227, the normie-friendly TikTok influencer that caters to 8 million French Canadians. Wee wee. Very good. ETH2353 summarizes the current home staker debate, and SuperFizz weighs in on the situation. This is Deuter 19. ETH2353 is a Deuter 19. There's been some discussion about the hardware and network requirements for Ethereum's validators. Obviously, maximum decentralization is the goal, but at the same time, Ethereum can't scale if we want to let everyone with the Raspberry Pi and a 1 megabit per second internet connection, exaggerating here, participate. I believe the discussion was initially triggered by someone who missed their block proposal, likely due to not having enough upload bandwidth. The issue is, no one has defined where the line is. What are the minimum requirements that still allow you to fully participate in validation of the chain as well as proposing blocks? And what should they be into the future? The current outcomes of this discussion, there's a survey on eStaker among home stakers to get a better picture. And Tony from the Ethereum Foundation put some numbers together on local block building and the effects that blobs have on it. And there's a request for 559 on GitHub it's a new API endpoint that will help local block building, since the proposer won't necessarily have to publish the blobs too. Attesters to the block can simply get the blobs from their own EL client's blob pool if the proposer doesn't manage to publish them quickly enough. All of this discussion is pretty relevant right now since there's been talks of increasing the blob count. Goes on from there. I personally feel that a slight increase, as suggested in the link comment, would be okay, provided the teams also manage to ship the new API endpoint. The good news is Reth and Besu already support it. Geth has a PR open, and neither mine has a PR merged. And then it says SupFizz. Did I miss something? I said SuperFizz, but the R is missing. I noticed there's this second account. Can somebody tell me in the chat, is that SuperFizz's like alt account? Did he get or is this somebody just playing around? But it sounds like something he would jump in on. If this were just about building the robust and decentralized smart contract platforms, SupFizz says, we'd be sailing. But the inclusion of a financial reward means that other projects want a piece of the pie. Other projects aren't able to match Ethereum on technical grounds, so they chip away at our social infrastructure, planting seeds of doubt and conflict with the knowledge that a small percent of Ethereum participants will shed away looking for other projects that might be an, air quote, more lucrative investment. I think the best route here is for us to continue decentralizing by onboarding people who are looking for investments in smart contract platforms. I imagine that over time, it'll continue to look like, if you can't beat them, join them, with Ethereum being the victor. People who have been around a long time might realize that while the attacks are changing in nature, they seem to be less of an existential threat and more of an annoyance every day. If I were to characterize these threats, I'd say the threat actors used to attack head on, but now they feel like they're working for clout inside the ecosystem and likely even working within Ethereum while getting funded by adversarial enterprise. That's a good reply. I'm just going to speak out of ignorance. I know there's a push for trying to make Ethereum work on the most minimal of hardware, but I think at some point you just got to go with, like, does the planet as a threshold, does 80% of the developed world have what it takes? I mean, are we seriously, are we going to try to make this work on Raspberry Pis, or would it just be, RAM's cheap, processors are cheap, like you can spend like $300 and be staking, and then your internet access, surely you need a basic amount of bandwidth. I get that, but I don't want to necessarily cater to the lowest order of resistance, I think if we're at least getting our threshold of 80% of the planet, then just go for it. The only thing I've thought about is like, let's steel man the other side of the situation where we have bigger fish to fry, like a major internet situation that comes up where people really are relegated to just having a trickle. Is there a way to secure the network on, like, I don't know if it would be like a side chain. I don't even know the right words for this. Is there some method that could produce a block a day or something that would roll up, as a like the network is kind of unusable at the moment because there's like a massive war breakout or something, but at least it still continues to thrive even if you're not really able to get transactions through until internet bandwidth comes back. I mean, but that's like a solar EMP problem or a bomb EMP situation. That's all I think we got bigger fish to fry if that happens. Don't get me wrong, but how can you steel man the tiny amount of bandwidth argument and tiny amount of hardware argument? So that's that. All right, moving on. Enough of that. Let's see. Captain Loud is looking for some app feedback. Oh, Captain Loud wrote Boasty. Oh, since my app Boasty didn't see any usage or traction, I decided to stop building features and leave it as is. It remains fully functional. Isn't that beautiful? And you can still schedule posts on Ethereum. It was a great learning experience. I thought about the pay $1 to do X hook that came up with a game concept. A prize pool, smart contract is seeded every day with say 10 or 100 USDC. You play a browser 2D shooter game and you could submit your high score for a chance to win the whole thing. High scores would be hidden until reveal. Then whoever has the highest score gets the payout automatically via a smart contract. So I built etherglide.net, a proof of concept. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? Use WASD to move Zephyr to avoid obstacles and collect power-ups. Left mouse click to shoot projectiles and destroy enemy cramps for extra points. Collect ETH to recharge your ammo. Collect a speed power-up for a 10-second speed boost. The game increases difficulty by increasing the maximum speed and number of obstacles. Connect your wallet and sign a message to submit a high score to the leaderboard. Game music and cool pew pew sounds. I'm looking for feedback for the concept and the game itself. Currently working on the smart contract and more game features, boss fights, and gravity mechanics. But wanted to test the waters before sinking too much time into it. Please try it and let me know what you think. Well, let's try it, huh? Let's see. What do you say? WASD? I'm such a boomer here. I don't even, and then I don't want, oh my gosh. Oh, shit. I suck at games, but that's fun. That's cute, man. Ooh, I collected an Ethereum logo. Oh boy, I'm getting into it now. I feel like I'm at the mall in the 1980s. Did I get a power up? Oh man, okay. Whoa, they're getting faster. What's the boss fight gonna be? Is it gonna be, oh, I ran out of bullets. Is the boss fight gonna be like, ooh, I got speed upgrade. Boss fight's gonna be like SBF, it's gonna be like Gensler, right? It's gonna be like all these bad actors in the government or whatever. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty dope, man. So if you want to check that out, that is at etherglide.net. Very cool. So Captain Loud is building stuff out there. That is funny. So so you know what's great about that game already? You can just play it, right? You don't have to sign in with a wallet unless you want to submit a high score. That's pretty novel. That's pretty cool. Good on you. He's really thinking stuff through. But yeah, I think the boss fights we should have Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, SBF. Who is a Luna guy? What's his name? Yeah, you get the idea. So good on you, my man. Great job. Suki educates us on full reserve banking. Suki is a duder 28. He's been H. Suki's been climbing up the Doots leaderboard, putting out a lot of great stuff. You guys should follow him, tag him. Okay, the question: why not full reserve banking? I was thinking about what would happen if countries switched over to full reserve banking. What would the effects be? Currently, there isn't a single country that does full reserve banking. It would greatly contract the economy, and most global companies, VC funding, and innovation would move elsewhere where they can get cheaper loans. It's self-sacrificing idea. Historically, every country has been on fractional reserve systems since banks and loans existed. Banks can lend out a portion of their customers' deposits to use towards other people's loans. If too many loans defaulted or there were a bank run, the bank would close. Centralized reserves were then invented to handle mass bank runs during times of panic, and overall, strong central banks, when combined with the power to expand the money supply, have been extremely successful in preventing mass bank runs. Keep in mind that strong central banks did not exist in the U.S. before the 1940s. While depressions were extremely common and occurred about every 30 years post-feudalism, and before central banks could expand money supply, there hasn't been one since central banks gained that power after the 1930s. The silver standard, the gold standard, the Brentwood system, and fiat systems all used fractional reserve banking. Of those systems, only fiat systems could handle nationwide full reserve banking. The other systems would all fail if the economy grew or contracted, because it would not be possible to expand and contract money supply under both the full reserve system and a commodity standard. What would happen to banks under full reserve? Well, banks would stop loaning because they can no longer use customer deposits like checking, savings, CDs for loans. Banks would charge small fees for checking and savings accounts. Many bank locations would close down and banks would go online. The central bank reserve would no longer be needed and can safely close. Or maybe it's still needed to bail out the separate loan industry. Well, where would loans go? Loans would simply move from banks to peer-to-peer lending industries like Prosper and Funding Circle. Loan interest rates would shoot up another 5 to 10%, and mortgages would become even less affordable. Homes would be less of an investment and more of an ongoing cost, like they are in Japan. There would be a lot more buying expensive things without loans. Overall, the economy would shrink maybe 50 to 90%. And domestic investments in general would plummet. Many companies would move abroad to other countries where they can get cheaper loans. VC and innovation would move abroad to other countries. Many loans would move abroad to other countries that are still under partial reserve systems. Any country that goes full reserve would fall behind other countries. What happens during a financial crisis when people aren't able to pay back loans? Well, banks would be perfectly fine since they're no longer involved. The loan industry would collapse or fall back to their insurers. Many lenders would default. The government may decide to create a central reserve to insure loan agencies. The government may bail out loan agencies and insurers that are too big to fail, or maybe they won't, and just be okay with letting a section of the economy collapse. Anyone who doesn't lend or get loans would be mostly fine and unaffected. The financial crisis would be smaller than under partial reserve. Overall, switching from partial reserve to full reserve just migrates failures from banks to the loan industry and causes interest rates to shoot up because customer deposits can't be used. It doesn't prevent systemic failures, but it does make them much smaller. The overall economy will also be much smaller. Consider China's Evergrande and housing collapse, which is a lot closer to a full reserve collapse since many Chinese homeowners buy houses in cash. China just let those companies fail and those homeowners lose their deposits. The economy contracted greatly. Some municipals were close to unrest and insurrection, but because China has a strong government, local governments were able to suppress protests. Overall, the damage was limited. You know what? That damage, though, was limited to the people who suffered from it. It's so crazy. That is a hell of a post, dude. Nice job, A-Word. Thanks for picking that one out. We always need a little education on just traditional finance stuff. Good for you, man. Good job, H. Suki. Logri the Bard. Here we go. I got to take a drink. This will be a big one. Oh, shoot. He's got it. Next section of his rabbit hole explorer's guide is all about crypto etiquette. The headline says, your crypto is private. If you go to stock trading forums, you'll frequently find people posting pictures of the brokerage account's positions showing they either made or lost incredible amounts of money. Reputable crypto forums prohibit that for your safety. The blockchain is public, unencrypted information. When you post precise positions and trade times, you reveal your address to anyone looking. If I know your address, I know not only your current net worth, but everything you do in the future. You probably aren't intending to forfeit your financial privacy forever. It makes you a target. It enables more credible spear phishing and tells the attacker whether you have enough funds to be worth their time. Generally speaking, just keep your crypto dealings private or at least relatively anonymous, especially online. I'm going to interject here. As moderators on Ethfinance and as good community members that all of you are, I always appreciate it when people say, do not speak in absolute terms of amounts, particularly, dollar signs, down to the penny. And yeah, he's got it. He's on the point with this. So if you're new to crypto, this is good. This is really good information. Continues on. This is true among friends and family for different reasons. There will come a point in your learning where you discover something exciting in this rabbit hole. The whole thing clicks for you, and you become enthusiastic and want to share this with everyone around you. People around you then think you've joined a cult. It's more than a stereotype. I've seen it many times. Even outside of crypto, it's usually recommended to avoid mixing business and pleasure. If someone listens to you and makes money, they are rarely going to be grateful to you personally. If they listen and lose money, you can easily damage relationships. So don't go shilling your favorite meme coin at your next holiday party with your friends and family. As an investment of your energy, it just doesn't provide a very good risk-adjusted return. This is a pretty long post, so I'm gonna go down to the bottom here. This whole middle section is worth reading. It's at dailydoots.com. I'm gonna do this last section here. Be careful who you trust. Learning in this ecosystem can be frustrating at times. Everywhere you go, everyone seems to know more about you, about everything from macroeconomics to how to read a chart and tell the future. An entire sailor's dictionary of jargon from TradFi to technical specifications of networks that you need a computer science degree to understand. It can all feel frustratingly out of reach, but I'll let you in on a secret. Most people worth listening to are capable of explaining things in simple enough terms that you can understand it. If you're on their platform and they have all the space and time they need to explain something well, yet they aren't making the effort to explain it so you can understand it, it could be their goal isn't to be understood by you, but rather to sound credible and confident. Boy, that's well said. So that you buy whatever they are selling. If you stumble into a conversation between two names that have a lot of followers and they are talking way above your head, you're not yet at a place where it's worth reading whatever that is. If you're outmatched to the degree that you aren't prepared to suss out the BS, you shouldn't be considering buying whatever anyone there is selling. Generally speaking, your favorite crypto influencer is using you as exit liquidity. If you aren't paying for a product, you are the product. If you can't figure out how they are monetizing your attention, you can still be certain they are. They are monetizing your attention in every way they can. They are getting paid for ad space. They're executing trades before you, so you're always buying at a higher price and selling at a lower price than them if you follow their moves. They need engagement numbers to raise more money from VCs, and they need to sustain their token price to keep attention on their project. For all of the above, they need to retain your attention, and they will use every cognitive bias at their disposal to do so. People often mistake confidence for aptitude. That's something I said on the last show. I can't remember. This is JT saying this, not Logri, but there was a famous person. I can't remember their name, but it was like, do not confuse conviction with expertise. I love it. Okay, so the cognitive bias at their disposal. People often mistake confidence for aptitude. The loudest voices are those with the strongest incentives, not those with the truth. But I will tell you this lesson from cycles past. The most boisterous sounding voices in the crowd have a storied history of imploding a year after you'll first discover them. Be careful who you trust. Logri the Bard. Well said, my man, as always. If you want to check out the Rabbit Hole Explorer's Guide, he's got it linked. It should link to tokenomicsexplained.com at some point. It's a thread. It's a thread of threads on Reddit, but he does put all this stuff into long form content that you can read. It's really good for intro, medium technical readers of crypto content. It's just, yeah, he's a real deal. Let's see.
Amazing what you can fit inside 10,000 characters.
Hey, there he is. You're in the crowd. Good to see you, man. Yeah, this is so good.
On that previous Suki post, we had some follow-up back and forth on there that I thought was pretty good as well, where he goes to like steelman the case for central banking. I try to tear down his steelman case for central banking.
I see. So going back, we'll go back one, and then Logri replies to the central banking post that H. Suki posted. Logri says, yes, now consider that having funds outside of a money market on the blockchain is essentially being your own full reserve bank. What exactly do you need a bank for? Usually it's to make your assets digitally available for spending. Blockchains offer this natively. So what do we need a bank for? Suki responds, as a thought experiment, let's reverse everything. Suppose the world has been magically using crypto for centuries, and then someone came along and invented a new system called centralized online banking. It would provide these attributes: no risk of accidentally losing your crypto account or having to remember private keys and seed phrases, built-in features similar to account abstraction and guardians, built-in system for beneficiaries, almost zero cost transaction fees, FDIC insured deposits, practically no risk of losing assets during a bank default, and finally, very low interest rate loans. Plus, he goes on, it boosts the overall economy by 5x due to the fractional reserve and low interest rate loans. I think a lot of people would praise the new system and be okay with the centralization trade-off. Sure, most old folks would still stick to the decentralization system they've grown up with, but I'm sure a contingency of radical use, tired of the old system with its cabal of unidentified rich old miners and validators, would want to switch to centralized banking. That is a fantastic steel man to that comment. And then Logri replied, number one, people actually do lose money in centralized banking all the time, either due to bank error or scams. You have zero recourse when this happens. Number two, it would have feature parity on account recovery. I wouldn't view this as a reason to switch. Number three, again, if crypto was established, having one of the several options I described in my blog post would be commonplace. This would be feature parity, not a reason to switch. Number four, banks may have no transaction fees, but they have account fees either as a monthly fee or as an opportunity cost of the lower interest rate you get on your money when parked there, and minimum deposits to ensure they make as much as the monthly fee would be. This is higher fees on average than my blockchain usage on L2s over a month. Number 5, FDIC insurance is only required because the money is being lent out in risky ways. Just hold a T-bill on chain. It's less risk and doesn't have a $250,000 cap. Number 6, what is a bank default when there is no bank? Let's say the centralized online bank does default. How long until you get your money? Even if you take for granted that a court process will eventually reimburse you, having no risk of default because your money isn't being loaned out to anyone, but the Fed, who can guarantee it, seems better. Subsidized, and then finally subsidized by opportunity cost of depositors. Why do depositors take this deal when they could just hold a T-bill on chain? Yeah, man, that's great.
My case there is, okay, he says the economy might contract 50 to 90%. To the degree that that's true, that's how badly depositors are being exploited by the system.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when
your capital matters so much to them that difference of 5% versus 0.25% that they're ripping people off, right? Your capital matters so much to them and is in such a volume for day-to-day financial services that they are apparently going to be responsible for contracting the economy 50% if they stop stealing it from you, right? So I'm not saying that they don't benefit from the system. I'm saying, do you, the user, with your funds, are you benefiting from that system?
Very good.
I can see no reason that someone already on the blockchain, if it was established, would switch to being ripped off.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of cool though how he made crypto like that. That was funny towards the end there, where he's like, traditional crypto, boomers. It's kind of like coming full circle, But that's a good banter back and forth. You have to think that a lot of people in high up places in TradFi, they can see how blockchains. It just feels like, okay, Nicaragua or El Salvador, right? Do you see the thing with the international? I'm sorry, I can't talk today. The International Monetary Fund was sending a warning out to El Salvador for, letting them try to encourage them to back off of Bitcoin, right? The president was like, and for what? Why would we? It's working to the extent that it is anyway. So you could kind of see the cracks in the power structures out there when you see a nation state that has been through so much has kind of like had enough.
Well, there's two power structures there. There's the dollar itself, the adoption of the dollar globally, right? But you have like the BRICS coalition. You can look at the recent price of gold, right? You can look at look at inflation over time. So you can see the threat to the dollar, and then separately from that is a threat to the financial system, TradFi, right? And this would be what we're trying to offer as an alternative rail. Now, there's nothing saying you have to use cryptocurrency if China wants to build its own banking system that's independent of SWIFT, and they think they can get Russia and Brazil and Iran and North Korea and everyone else to use it, right? There's nothing we can do to stop that. But there's just a lot of infrastructure there, and as yet, despite us, providing or applying sanctions and doing things that we can just consider financial censorship, right? Generally speaking, they haven't taken the effort to bypass our system, create their own, and work, right? And crypto should make the barrier to entry of doing that much smaller, right? Because how much more technology do you need than is on chain, right? Why couldn't China or Russia just mint a digital ruble, right? And then use that to send it to people in China and vice versa, and not take the risk of, Russian oligarchs take the risk of the U.S. seizing their asset. It should be the case that every application of censorship dulls its use, becomes less effective because fewer people use the censored apparatus. Every time that you significantly affect people. Eventually a parallel rail should spring up that doesn't have your version of censorship, and then it at least is used, as Elizabeth Warren would say, all the criminals go there. Okay, so now you've basically defanged the U.S. financial apparatus, right? So it should be the case that something else would spring up. It doesn't have to be a blockchain, but it would seem that a blockchain would be the lowest barrier of entry. It would just be easy energy, low hanging fruit, however you want to say that. But as yet, we've just seen Russia take it to the face over and over and haven't done anything about it.
Yeah.
They were literally trading in Mandarin oranges the other week, but they won't just mint a digital ruble or take the digital yuan on a blockchain in order to get around the financial problem the U.S. is applying to them. Right? It's really weird just how, like, at the scale of trillions of dollars, they're just getting fucked over rather than adopt a blockchain.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's a whole crazy dynamic over there. We'll see how that all ends up. And, Russia, El Salvador, International Monetary Fund, the U.S. government, just our own regulators, it's kind of one of those things where I remember when I first got into crypto, it's like, wow, at some point, I wonder if this is going to be a topic of that the government is going to actually pay attention to. Is Bitcoin just a pet rock, or is it really going to get some teeth? And then Ethereum came along and was like, well, this makes total sense. They can't ignore this because this is awesome. This is kind of how we could do some of these financial things and make it a little more fair and equitable for all kinds of people, for money remittance and all the things that we already know about.
I don't even need it to be fair. But we don't guarantee equality of outcome, right? We're not trying to fight wealth inequality here. All we guarantee is equality of access to opportunity. Whatever I can do on Yearn Finance, anyone but the admins can do on Yearn Finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not it's not the equivalent where there's a central bank, a Federal Reserve, and then the bank has a line with the Federal Reserve and I don't, so they can borrow money and lend it to the federal government at a profit, but I can't. There's none of that, right?
Yeah.
It's just democratized access to financial instruments. So whatever one person can do, anyone can do, and it leads it to the most meritocratic people, to practically savvy, the ones willing to take the best risk-adjusted returns over time, are the ones money is going to accrue to.
Hey,
and rich get richer.
So this will all be fun to talk to Paul Brody. He's coming on November 1st to join us, and because they did the Pi USD thing, so it's PayPal's dollar stable coin and business-to-business transaction with EY, but Paul's been flying around talking money to all kinds of folks. It'll be interesting to get some thoughts on that. If you're watching us on YouTube, welcome in. Glad you guys could join the chat. And we got a big crew on Discord. Thanks for hanging out. We got two more dudes for the week. Let's rock and fire. Breezy lays out common framework. So Breezy is a duder number 8. I feel like Breezy's account has been around for a long time. Good. So a common framework I like to use to think about my investments, rightly or wrongly, please feel free to critique. Cash. Cash is cash. The dollar is continuously being weakened, but it's important to have cash as a buffer layer of safety or to buy the large depths, 3 to 5% yield. Stocks. The stock market has been absolutely ripping over the last decade. Important to dollar cost averaging into stocks on a regular basis, but it's never going to give you insane upside unless you pick a winner like Nvidia or Tesla and average in over a long period for an 8 to 12% yield. Real estate, very manual, illiquid, challenging, costly, and time-consuming investment. I have 9 rental properties. Damn! Very difficult to scale, and each house project takes at least 3 months minimum, 5 to 10% yield annually. ETH is extremely volatile, a nascent technology that has the potential to be the internet of value, has loads of headwinds such as regulatory, challengers, technological, and financial against it. Also has some of the smartest developers in the world working on it and is at the bleeding edge of software. Asking this to you all seriously. But if you have your bases covered with cash, retirement, or stocks of 401k, Roth IRA, brokerage, etc., real estate, where else do you have the same amount of upside potential as ETH beyond an individual tech stock like whatever the next NVIDIA will be? I don't see anywhere else I can allocate my dollars that has the upside potential of ETH. Am I missing something? Gosh, I want to open up this thread and see what people are saying. He has 9 rental properties. Okay, so Curious B, Duder number 6 replies, replace ETH with crypto and your analysis still applies. Then you can be specific on justifying a heavy allocation to ETH within the crypto space. By stocks in your framework, you really mean large cap stocks. Small cap stocks are a bit of a casino and a bit of a game of picking winners on fundamentals. Not too different from crypto markets. If you have domain expertise in something like healthcare technology, oil exploration, manufacturing, etc., you can do great picking penny stocks that have real value. In many ways, ETH and crypto are just like tech stocks, a bet on the future of technology continuing to take over more of everyone's lives. The upside potential is huge, and while there is still downside risk, it's the asymmetry that makes it a good bet. Bob Rossi, Duder number 62, also replies, why do you have rental properties if you described it as a ton of work with a worse yield than stocks? It seems like that type of thing is always talked up by a variety of people online in my life, yet I've rarely seen evidence that it's worth the hassle over dumping funds into a stock market instead. And any success story feels like there are either important details left out, such as the actual hours worked, or due to luck synonymous to the NVIDIA scenario you described. Local real estate growth outpacing the average and avoiding bad tenants, etc. To answer your question, if you're truly talking about the scenario of this is money, you literally be unaffected if it caught on fire tonight. I don't really disagree with your assessment. You have to start getting into literal gambling or like just loading up on rare GameCube games or Pokemon card type stuff. Let's see. De facto cool Dude number 12 responds, I'm sure there are some exotic investments that could show similar upside. It's just that by the nature of it, none of us in here would know about it until after the fact. I'm sure some commodities could show potential to rocket up too, though it tends to be short-lived. For what it's worth, because apparently I'm a master fudster today, we should recognize that there are other crypto other than ETH that could outperform. Like I've said, I have 10% portion in BTC because while I think Ethereum would serve the purposes better, we do have actual real-world examples of whole countries adopting Bitcoin as some kind of sovereign safeguard, for instance, El Salvador and Nepal. And while it's not serious at all, we have presidential candidates in America promoting strategic Bitcoin reserves, LOL. Goes on from there. So that's a good conversation. Breezy laying out the framework of investing. I mean, if you have 9 rental properties and you've already got assets in these other instruments and you got a little bit of crypto too, like I think you're set, my man. But you know what? People want to know like what else they can do. You might be set, but that doesn't take the curiosity out of the cat, you know? So that's a good philosophical question. Like this is pretty much a bleeding edge. What else, is out there that they're missing? Good luck with that. And finally for this week, Dr. ETH sounds the alarm to a big change in domain names. Duder number 29. Dr. ETH's been around for a long time as well. Relevant to lots of crypto and tech websites and generally for safety around them, given that this political event will probably force a change on a lot of domain names. In short, the .io TLD will disappear. What's TLD? Send it in the comments. I want to make sure that I don't misquote that. So what is TLD and why is it going to disappear? The .io. Okay, top level domain. Thank you so much, Yield Daddy. Relevant excerpt from this article explaining it. The quote, since 1968, the UK and US have operated a major military base on the Chagos Islands, officially known as the British Indian Ocean Territory. But the neighboring nations of Mauritius has disputed British sovereignty over them. The Mauritian government has long argued that the British illegally retained control when Mauritius gained independence. It has taken over 50 years, but that dispute has finally been resolved. In return for a 99-year lease for the military base, the islands will become part of Mauritius. Once this treaty is signed, the British Indian Ocean Territory will cease to exist. Various international bodies will update their records. In particular, the International Standard for Organization, or the ISO, will remove country code IO from its specification. The Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, IANA for short, which creates and delegates top-level domains, uses this specification to determine which top-level country domains should exist. Once IO is removed, the IANA will refuse to allow any new registrations with a .io domain. It will also automatically begin the process of retiring existing ones. There's no official count of the number of extant.io domains. Okay. Officially countless website. Okay. However, note that there are some exceptions to the rule that have been made for other commercially successful TLDs. Those are top-level domains. I learned that today. With the United Kingdom giving up sovereignty of the British Indian Ocean Territory to Mauritius, but maintaining the military base on Diego Garcia, I want to say Diego Garcia, via an initial 99-year lease, it is possible under IANA rules, the .io domain will eventually have to be phased out within the following several years. Although historically, some exceptions been granted, as was the case for .su. So I guess the takeaway from this, if I'm not mistaken, is that if you got a .io domain, you might want to get that checked out by the prostate doctor, because it sounds like it's going to be heading out the door. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Okay. Well, that wraps up this week. Thanks so much for subbing and smashing the bells. Thanks to all the people watching on YouTube, hanging out in the chat on the Discord. Daddy's got to go get Mama some pumpkins at the local farm, so I am out of here. If you want to stick around after the live stream, you can do so. That's where we party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EV Mavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.